Hello everybody, we're finally back. I'm done moving, I'm done unpacking things, I'm still trying to buy things and get things set up, but we're finally here, and we're finally here for Pokemon Day. That can be either Pokemonday or Pokemon Day. However you want to read it, you can read it both ways. But today I decided to do a discussion on Generation 7. Since we have that new Pokemon released in Pokemon Go, and everyone's wondering if 8th generation is around the corner next year and all of that, I thought it'd be good to take a step back and look back at 7th generation. It's been an interesting generation. And originally I'd wanted to talk about it as a whole. I want to talk about the Pokemon choices, how the trials went, Z moves, everything overall. But I found that there was something particular I wanted to talk about. I was thinking on it, and really the main thing about 7th generation that sticks with me, besides of course Vikavolt, who's awesome, deck's probably coming of me playing that deck that I built of the GX. But it's the oppressive story. Now when I say the story is oppressive, I do not mean that it's a dark story or it beats the characters down and makes you feel terrible about it. No, what I mean is that every time you take a step, or try to go anywhere on your adventure, the game stops you to either tell you or remind you of where you're supposed to be going. This is one of my largest complaints about the game as a whole. The Pokemon, they're the usual mixed bag of good and bad designs. The trials, much like the gyms they replaced, are middle of the road, not even really that interesting overall. And the characters are good and interesting for the most part. A lot of people love their designs. We just didn't get to see them, very much of them, through the story, because the story was too busy telling us, hey, go here. But to me, Pokemon is about the adventure. It's about bumbling around as you try and figure out where to go. And that is where the story is oppressive. It spends so much of its time corralling you that you don't get to adventure as much as you did before. Although not a bad story, it actually has great potential to be an amazing story, and exactly the kind of story that I would like to see from the Pokemon franchise as a whole. Now, to address a common complaint I see about Pokemon is that, unlike other franchises that have done recently, it does not grow with its audience. Those of us who have been playing the games for 20 years or more have outgrown the usual stories and situations that Pokemon puts us in. But I would like to say that it is overall fine. Not every franchise needs to grow more mature, and many of the efforts that we see of franchises to mature usually fail. They try to be gritty and quote-unquote realistic. But what Pokemon can do is it can put more effort into its story, which can give us a very similar result that I think people would enjoy. To be playing through this game of the 7th generation, both the regular and Ultra version, when I was not annoyed with Lily, Howie, or the damn Rotom decks yelling at me where to go, I found the overall story distracted. It did the usual Pokemon, oh, you're such a great trainer, oh, hey, you just started, but we know you are meant for greatness. You're going to be the best. Then you meet Team Skull, and you think the game will focus on them, just as it has done in the past. But instead, we have to deal with the Aether Foundation. This is where the game loses a lot of its potential. The Aether Foundation, to me, is just a revamped and more boring version of Team Plasma, an already fairly boring team in the large scheme of things. I'd like to try and re-envision the story to make a story that could have been way better. It could have really taken the potential of Team Skull, a team most known for being their goofy antics, and made them arguably one of the best, if not the best, Pokemon enemy team in the history of the franchise. A bold claim, but Rocket fans, hear me out. For those that have yet to play the game, and are for some reason watching a video discussing the story of the game, Team Skull are a team of punks composed of one type of person. People who have failed their Island Challenge, which is this game's version of the League Challenge where you collect badges. Yes, they're basically failed versions of your character. Most of the game they spend just slouching around and challenging to battles, never really going to the extra mile to establish themselves as anything but wannabe gangsters. That is really what endeared them with the internet. Players loved this, loved their silly antics, and loved what they were. The team was popular since they were failures. This could have been capitalized on with the story. As our generation itself, those of us who've been playing Pokemon for 20 years, have felt the sting before. The sting of being a failure compared to previous generations. The whole team acts out against the traditions of the region, and specifically the Island Challenge, as it is the main thing of the game. It's what you're doing. So of course they're mostly against it. Due to this, most people in the game just treat them as hooligans. They don't necessarily do anything threatful, so why not? But even their leader, Guzma, however you choose to say his name, is a person who failed to reach his dream of being a captain. I think it would have been better if to try and prove themselves to the people of the region, and to themselves, if they would have fulfilled the usual role of trying to capture the legendary Pokemon themselves. Although classic and boring, hear me out. For if their skills were not enough to make their dreams come true, then powerful Pokemon could. They could have harassed Lily to try and get to Cosmog. They could have challenged you after you beat them to try and get your Pokemon, since they would, in theory, be strong Pokemon. He could have skipped the boring dialogue-heavy scenes that deal with the Foundation, and instead explored the world of what happens to those who fail to make the cut, those of us who are not Pokemon Masters. We do get a small glimpse of this in one segment of the game. Team Skull steals a little girl's Pokemon, and as the brave trainer you are, you go and retrieve it by breaking into their hideout. Unlike every team that comes before them, though, they do not have a secret high-tech lab where they could conduct experiments. Instead, it is a ghost town that they have taken over. Basically just moved into a place nobody wanted. A town where they charge you to heal your Pokemon in a broken Pokemon Center. Not because you are the enemy, for instead they could have just let your Pokemon suffer and not healed them. Instead, they need the money. This is starkly different than everything that came before in the franchise. It is also the best segment in the entire game. We could have had Guzma and Team Skull after this scene make a desperate attempt to take over the Aether Foundation, to attempt to use the power of the Ultra Beasts, or to capture the legendary Pokemon. Then they could have used this power to get rid of the Island Challenge and stomp everyone in their way. Instead, we get the strange Aether Foundation storyline with Lusamine being a villain, sorta, kinda, I guess. Her motivations are confusing at best. Whatever you want to call it, it pales in comparison of Guzma acquiring a powerful Pokemon such as the Ultra Beast or the Legendary, and then facing off against you, the antithesis to everything he is, and then still failing. A tragic story. Although no one would have died, or be in a catatonic state, or anything like that, we could have had a powerful scene where Guzma yells about how weak he is, and how he just wants a place that Team Skull can belong that is not a trash heap. And our character could reach out and provide the support. Our character could acknowledge him and his strength as a Pokemon trainer. This is a point I actually feel quite strongly about, as our character is always treated as some strong trainer, and that is all there is. It could be the first in the series where our character would actually play a role in the story, Guzma's antithesis, where he is a strong trainer, recognized to be near or at the level of a captain. Lusamine even choosing him in the normal story to accompany her to face off against the Ultra Beasts. But he is a nobody, someone left on the side of the road as a failure in the Pokemon world. You are a new trainer that has sailed through the Island Challenge that he failed at, and now defeat him and capture a legendary Pokemon. A Pokemon that in story is considered to be the top powerhouse in the game. A person everyone celebrates. This is just a thought experiment, unrefined, but I think this is the direction that Pokemon could have gone with. It could have separated Sun and Moon from the previous generation, than the attempts at changing things like trials and Z moves and everything else they tried to implement. Maybe in 8th generation we'll finally get the story that we crave. But until it comes out and we start seeing things, there's no way to know. But that is all I'm here for today. This is the first Pokemon Day. If you'd like to hear more discussions like this, let me know in the comments. I'm thinking next week I'll do an actual overview talking about the starters, the Pokemon pool, and everything like that, and less on the story. But I really just wanted to get my thoughts out there and see what you guys overall think of this. And also, of course, we will go back to the trading card game, of course. I am really excited to try out that Vikavolt deck and show it off. I'm thinking the next versus ladder challenge that shows up, I may do a long video of, an edited video of course, of challenging the versus players playing online to try to get some of those sweet delicious rewards and let you guys watch in. But until next time everyone, I'll see you in the next video, and hey, have fun.